Hello, everyone. Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
There's a Brown versus Brown or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there should be prenups.
I think
At this point, I think there should be prenups.
Well, I think people should grow the fuck up, and it's like, if you fucking cheated, then you should just bow out.
Yeah.
Like,
Or bow out before you cheat.
yeah, well, yeah.
Right?
Obviously.
You know,
Or
hey,
go to counseling,
I'm not.
clean it up.
I want to sleep with other people. I'm not interested in staying faithful in our marriage anymore. So I want to divorce you. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Instead of me finding out. After the fact.
Or how about throwing there if the wife isn't, or the husband isn't putting out for more than 6 months, they have the right to go find someone.
I mean, I don't know how enforceable that is, but
I don't know. We're just playing right now. But
no,
really,
but there's like when I was going through my second divorce, I was talking to my attorney about some of that stuff, and because the no fault divorce state is because people would find any and every reason to argue for everything, and by saying just no fault divorce, it's just a simple all right.
The math.
Something happened. You guys don't want to be married anymore. Got it. We'll just split everything 50-50. That's the default. But I still think it's like guys that are like, because it happens to guys more than it happens to women, I think. And that's probably provable statistically. But, you know, a woman steps out on the marriage, cheats on the husband. He finds out. And then she gets half of his stuff and gets alimony and all, child support and all this other stuff. And it's like.
She gets rewarded.
She gets rewarded for being unfaithful. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna live alone until the kids are grown up, and I can milk this for everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of goes to what we want to talk about today. You know, about protecting your kids from our scars.
Yeah.
And so. It's funny because it's like, you know, we're 80s kids, 80s, 90s kids. You know, we grew up with no helmets, no knee pads. We had 3 channels on the TV. You had to get off your fucking ass to turn the channel.
Right.
You know, and then
you had that little
bang the
UHF
crap
one that
out
had
of
like
the TV.
600 different tiny little clicks to tune in. Yeah.
Had to bang the TV to get the fucking channel to work. And,
yep. Your sibling would walk in the room and clear up. Stay there.
You're like, one person's holding it. They're like, don't move. Oh, and you're trying to watch it too while holding it. And,
yeah.
And, you know, we left and came back when the lights went down. I mean, God, we like kicked the can with 100 kids.
Wow.
In the neighborhood.
We play stickball and football in the street. And then anybody saw a car, they just go, car. And everybody stopped, go to the side, wait for the car to pass, and then start back up again.
Like Wayne's World. This is like where I love to have clips where it's like, game on. Game off. You know, they're playing street hockey.
Yeah.
Game on. Kind of thing. But
yeah, that's what we grew up with, you know, and I think, you know, our parents kind of, like my parents, they were not helicopter parents. We in the summertime especially, we'd disappear for half the day. Yeah. My mom didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
We could be anywhere. And then then we'd come home and it'd be, right around dinner time. We just kind of, we'd have a watch or whatever, and it's like, 5 o'clock, got to go home. 6 o'clock, got to go home, right? Or like when the streetlights come on kind of thing, but we just went home.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, grew up in Utah, Arizona. I mean, kidnapping was huge. Blonde hair, blue eye, boys and girls were being kidnapped left and right. I mean, they made neighborhoods that were called safety neighborhoods with safety walks, and basically it was 8-foot walls, center block walls with one entrance in these neighborhoods, and they had escape walks, so crosswalks to other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And so kids could run to the other neighborhood, and that person would have to drive all the way around and try to figure out how to get back. By the time they did, you're gone and you're safe.
Wow.
Or if they leave, you go back and then run back to your house, kind of thing. And then like the McGruff thing that came around that time, where, you basically had a safety house where you put the sign up in there, and as a kid you could run in that house without even permission. You could run in that house.
10% of them were pedophiles.
Yeah, probably.
And there's that commercial on TV. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Or this is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
Beating the shit out of the kitchen.
We grew up in a totally different era, and our kids they struggle differently, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I looked up, and I was surprised by the statistics a little bit, but I also am not surprised. Do you know a third of Gen Z is on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications?
Yeah, and as a nurse, I see that. I mean, half the people I work with are like, I need to take a Xanax. I'm having a hard day today. I'm like, you're literally on your phone all the fucking time. How are you having a hard day?
Right? Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Do you need
to
help?
the next one. Almost 100% of Gen Z uses social media.
Yeah, and it's frying their brain. So Switzerland did a study on, it was 300 kids. They were aged 10 to 20. So basically they started when they're 10 years old, if they were allowed to have a phone and the social media, and then to age 20. And they basically did an IQ test, cognitive thinking, EEG, all that stuff to basically show brain activity. And at age 20, they repeated it, and they said every single one of them's cognitive thinking had gone down by 30%, and their IQ had dropped by 20%. And I'm like, I can see that because I see this shit.
Millennials are the first generation to basically rate below their parents in success and intelligence and money and all that kind of stuff. They're the first generation not to exceed what their parents had.
Yeah. There's a lot of argument that says the cap for success was Gen X.
Yeah.
Like success and
because we
retirement.
rock as Gen X.
I'm not one of those people, but you know.
You are.
Well, starting over 3 times really makes it hard to be successful.
I started over effectively 3 times as well. Once was bankruptcy and then 2 divorces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, one of the things that I think was important for us to talk about was like, how do we try to help make sure that our kids don't have the scars that we had and help them become resilient and that kind of stuff. And so there are a couple topics. You ready for them?
Yeah.
All right. So first section is like our Gen X scars and what we lived through.
Okay.
And then second is what the younger generation is facing now. Third is how we protect them without softening them. And then just, you know,
kind of general takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So,
yeah, man. Hey, if you guys like our content, which, you know, I think it's getting good. It's getting pretty good.
I think so.
Hit that like and subscribe, you know, leave in the comments what you liked about the episode and kind of experiences you experienced with this.
Some of your scars.
If you're a millennial, let us know if you feel like you're on a better track than we were at age 20, actually 30s, right? 30s now. You know, technically the standard was by 30, you bought your own house, you're starting your family.
Yep.
You know, they say only 6% of women now are married before age 30.
Not surprised.
That's crazy. When it was really 97, 20 years ago.
Wow.
I was like, damn, that's crazy.
No, but I mean, that's like some of the scars that we have, right? You know, back when I was growing up, having a family was like the expectation, and you were going to find this wonderful girl and you're going to get married and have kids and have a career and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, some of the scars that I have are like, I was in the military, 2 divorces, bankruptcy. You know, I had all my kids before I was 30. Like all my kids were born by the time I was 30 years old.
Yeah, same.
But now it's like, is dating even worth it? Do I want to try and do that anymore? I'm happy to, you know, have a good time with my kids, see my grandkids, you know, show them love, but it's a whole lot different than it used to be. But I don't want them to feel that same jadedness that I feel.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know, you get that loneliness, man.
Yeah.
Of course, guys, they get remarried because they get lonely, and
I think it's a big part of it. Yeah.
I think the sexual part of it too is we have that sexual drive that we like. That's what we need for connection sometimes, you know, unless you've learned to be more of a stoic, calm, you know, date yourself, just happy with who you are.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot. I mean, from being a Gen Xer, we're told that's not good.
Yeah.
To be a loner, to it's just shut up and get it done.
Yep.
Take responsibility, you know, engage. And,
yep.
You know, and my thing was staying too longer in relationships. You know, even my marriage stayed too long because of my, you know, for my kids. Staying in the second relationship was crazy freaking topics. We talked about that in the red flags that, you know, ruin men. A couple episodes ago or last episode. And so trying to teach my kids or protecting them from those scars without showing those emotions, it's hard. You know, it really is hard to still want to raise them and make them better than I am, because like I'm a firm believer that a man is the only one that wants to see their kids do better than them.
I think in general that's probably true. Yeah.
Because I would love for my kids to be more successful than me, to find their spouse on the first try and be happy with their kids and never get divorced and have the family that I never had, you know. I tried to have, but it's just one of those things that you want to show those things. And, you know, our therapy, you know, we didn't go to therapy. We didn't do those things, but it was funny because by the time I was my third start over, I'm like, dude, I need to figure out why.
Yeah.
I'm fucking up like this. And until you do take responsibility, ownership of your own behavior, you can't address those scars. And if you don't address those scars, you will pass those scars to your kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think that, you know, what you said right there is probably the key, where it's like trying to figure out the why. You know, we recognize that we struggle with different things, but we don't actually build grit and resilience unless we're actually trying to figure out what is causing it and how to surpass it, how to get, you know, to move forward from it. But we don't move forward from it typically because, you know, growing up, it's if it hurts, you walk it off. You rub dirt in it. You know, in the military, it's you drink water.
Drink water. Yeah. Actually, guys, I think you guys talked about that. It's like throw some dirt on it.
No, but it's, you know, Ranger candy and drink water. So take ibuprofen and drink some more water and then drive on, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, there's a lot of strength in that, but that doesn't fix anything. And so when people think that they have to be tough enough to overcome, then they just become dicks, really. But but they're not trying to improve, and their kids then see that becomes their example. Because we're just shoving all of our emotion down, we don't treat our kids very well, and then that becomes their norm, and then they grow up with those same scars, like you were saying, right?
Yeah. Well, and I don't think people realize. I mean, if you don't know this, then you're just naive as fuck. Kids learn from what you do versus what you say.
Yep.
And so, I think it was like 90% of what your kid will be raised to be is based on your example as an adult. And so, if you're a piece of shit, and I say this casually, you know, you're at a grocery store and your kid grabs candy and you know they stole and you don't say anything. You literally just taught your kid that it's okay to steal. Yeah. You know, I was in a Target where I saw a guy, his kid grabs the candy, puts it in his pocket, and he goes, "Whoa, what are you doing?" Yeah. And he's like, "Well, I wanted it. I do it all the time with mom." He goes, excuse me? And he goes, and he looks at her and she goes, "What? I don't care." He goes, "Okay, what the fuck?" And he goes, No. Yep. He goes, "Take it out of your fucking pocket right now and walk it back to that person and give it to him and tell him, I stole this. What's my punishment?" Yeah. And of course the wife was like, "Oh, this is so stupid. Come on, we're just going to leave." And he goes, "No, we're not going to leave because one, you're not doing this shit anymore and our kids aren't going to be doing this shit." Yeah. And I loved because it was a black family, and I love the fact that he was like being a dad, and he's like, "No, we're not doing that." And he marched his kid back there, and the kid's all crying, "Don't make me. And he goes, "I don't give a shit. If they call the cops and they arrest you, then they're going to fucking call the cops and arrest you." And of course, it's like an 18-year-old kid at the checkout, and he's like, "It's cool, man." He goes, "No, it's not. It's not cool. What the fuck is wrong with society?" And I think that's where you're getting fucking social media is just making it okay to kill and rob and do harm to people, and nothing happens to these people.
Yeah, these like neighborhood takeovers and the street takeovers and stuff that are happening right now. It's a lack of structure, you know. Yeah. But we had almost too much structure, I think. Yeah, there's a balance. Yeah, you know, because like you know, there's you do one thing wrong and you get smacked across the face. No, I never got smacked across the face, thankfully. But you know, spanked like crazy, got in trouble all the time.
You want me to do that for you?
No, but thank you for offering.
put that on your dating profile. Yeah,
right. No, but I mean, it's we grew up too harsh in many respects.
Yeah, no, I mean. Our parents are, I think the GenX are, I mean, I grew up from a broken family, you know, and so I didn't have what you had, you know. My mom did so good at providing for us the best she could.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, she had attached herself to, not a great first stepdad. Second one, it wasn't too bad. He did his best. He never had kids, so he didn't know how to be a dad really.
Right, sure.
Because his dad wasn't great. So he tried his best, but it was one of those things where I think my mom was being the mom that, kind of the parent I am. It's like, I question everything. I've tried every little thing. I mean, she went hardcore. She gave my sister to the state to help her get right, but then she took her back because he realized the state was wrong and they were fucking her up more. And so,
which is usually the case,
she just really fought to do what was right. And as a parent, if you're not questioning your parenting style and like, oh God, did I do that right? Did I do it wrong? Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible parent. Then you're not being a parent. Like if you think you're the best parent on earth and you let your kids do whatever the fuck they want, you're gonna end up like my friend Chandler, who's crazy, insane. One side, I won't say it because I don't want to be political, but fucking liberal as shit. Completely delusional when it comes to parenting, he and just has no concept of what it's like to be a parent. And it's not because he's a shitty person. It's just because he didn't have great examples. I actually had great examples in the church. And, those men still had their faults,
Of course, yeah.
But I learned discipline. I learned how to be gentle. I learned how to set standards, boundaries, expectations with my kids. Now I feel like in the divorce, I don't have as much influence or control, but when they do communicate with me how they're doing and stuff like that, it's nice because they're both succeeding and they're doing well. And I think that's what leads into this next section of what the younger generation is facing right now.
Yeah. No, I it's interesting what they're facing because it is a totally different time. I mean, we're the generation that like the internet became a thing.
Yeah.
For us, they grew up, they have no idea what life is like without it.
Yeah. I think the only thing we had to really face were like chat rooms and predators in chat rooms trying to like, oh, hey, send me a picture. Hey, I'm a 10-year-old boy too.
Yeah,
send me your pictures. And really they're not. They're a fucking 85-year-old man trying to.
Yeah, but I mean, now you have this generation where, which is a good thing in many ways, that they are much more focused on like mental health and emotional strength and all that kind of stuff. But the negative side of that is it's almost like they applaud the fact that they have mental health issues.
Oh yeah. I agree that 100%.
And so the anxiety and the depression, and I see this a lot as a therapist where, I'm looking at some of the stuff that they're going through and I'm like, it's normal to feel depressed when things aren't going the way you want it to go. It's normal to feel anxiety when there's a new experience or you're challenged by something. That's normal. And sometimes what I do is I'm just normalizing what they're feeling instead of like, oh yeah, that's anxiety. That's bad. That's horrible. All this other stuff. No, it's okay to feel that. What I talk about my clients with, and some of the adults, is it's not about trying to not feel depression or not feel anxiety. It's when it becomes overpowering to where it's interfering with you living your life. That's when it's a problem. Yeah. If you're getting so depressed you can't get out of bed, okay, now it's a problem. If you're so anxious you're having a panic attack, it's a problem. But to feel anxiety because you have a test and you didn't feel like you prepared for it and you're like butterflies and you're not sure and, that's normal.
Fucking normal.
That is a normal experience.
You didn't study. You didn't take the time and that consequences you might not do good.
But they have this mindset a lot of times where it's like, oh, I felt a twinge of anxiety. I need to be on a medication or something's wrong. And so like this 33%, 34% of kids that have anxiety and depression. Yeah, well, everybody has it, but the resilience isn't there.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big problem. One of the other statistics that I found too was 80% of this generation coming up, this Gen Zs, 80% report being lonely, in spite of being connected through all this technology. They feel lonely, and so that's one of the things that this generation is facing too. I thought this was really funny when I heard this the first time, where it's like, for a generation that has access to so much information, how can you be so stupid? Yeah,
100%. I mean, I see that with some of the nurses, man.
Yeah,
that I work with. They they're like question everything.
Yeah.
And I had one that was like, she's on her phone. I'm like, I go, what you looking for? Like, cause she seems like flustered and she's looking at the computer and she's on her phone. And I'm like, what? I go, are you okay? You doing all right? And she's like, oh, I'm just trying to figure this thing out and yada, yada, yada. Seinfeld. And I just like, I go, put your phone down. I go, hold on a second. Just put your phone down for a second. I go, what are the norms for this? And she says them all. I go, okay, what did you learn in school that treats that? This, and this, but the doctor isn't doing it. I'm like, that's what you say. You just simply say, hey, I noticed these are the labs. I'm really worried about the patient. Would it be wise to add this? I go, you're not telling what the doctor to do. You're just throwing it out there that, hey, I noticed this. Did you? Now, and I love the medical world now and in healthcare. Like, it's generally become a team setting, not a I'm the doctor, fuck you, do what I say.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, people, 90% of the nurses are the ones that check and balance, and
they just don't have the license to say yes. Give that medication. And
what's great is how many times as a nurse I've had a doctor go, "Oh crap, I never thought about that." It was like, yeah, let me look into that.
Yeah,
and then the new orders come down and stuff like that, and they take care of it. And so she was so worried that she was going to be scolded because she's younger, newer, and she didn't want to be. She was so worried about being wrong instead of taking it as a teaching moment. It's like, you know what you know until you learn more. And that's kind of how life is.
Yeah.
You only know what you know. And the smart people, the rich, like the actual successful people, they learn something every day. I tell people every day, healthcare, you're never going to learn it all. I learn something new every day. I forget some of the stuff I learn. It comes up later when it comes up. Because there's stuff that you won't see for 10 more years.
Yeah.
And it comes up again. You're like, oh.
Well, and
fuck,
so
I remember that.
That's like the anxiety and the fear of like, oh, I don't want to do it wrong, right?
Yeah.
There's another side too. I had this client. Holy crap! He was like 22 years old. He'd been married for like 6 months. He was living with his sister, and he, when I was only ever had one session with him.
And married.
Yeah, and he was living with his sister. She had like 4 little kids, that kind of stuff. And he talked about his childhood trauma because his parents had kids young, and so they didn't have the knowledge or capacity to raise him properly because they had kids way too young.
So he's blaming his parents for his...
He was blaming his parents for a bunch of stuff. And then he said, I see my sister and her husband doing the same thing because their kids need their attention and are asking for their attention. They're not giving them the attention, just like my parents did to me. And I looked at him and I almost said it like this, but I didn't. I did it much more professionally.
You almost dadded up.
I did. I said, but I was like, what makes you think that that's how... that the way, who says that that's wrong? That's how most parents are. What I wanted to say was, who the fuck do you think you are, you spoiled little snotty kid, not to ever grow up and see that you're not the center of everybody's world?
Yeah, exactly.
You shit.
Yeah. Well, and I think
sometimes therapists want to say that kind of thing.
Well, and I think that's the problem is it's because they're more in tune with their emotions and their depression. They're
hyper fixated on it.
They're hyper fixated. It becomes a popularity thing. And I'll flat out say this too. And I'm not anti any of these things, but when did it become popular to be gay? When did it become popular to be binary? When did it become popular to pretend to be a fucking cat?
Yeah.
And then demand the world to fucking feed your delusion. And that's the parents failed because my kids played make-believe.
A lot of times it's not the parents.
Well, and
it's the friend groups and the schools and stuff. But like one of the things that I hate this term as a therapist, I hate this term, neurodivergent.
Yeah, that's stupid, fucking dumb.
Neurodivergent. What does that mean? Your brain doesn't function like everybody else's. Yeah, it's unique. We're all neurodivergent. There is no norm. There's a range of normal, but it's a range and it fluctuates. But we want to assign so many terms, and then what happens is we latch onto these terms as a definition of who we are, and then that's all we see. And it does not allow for resilience. It does not allow for growth. It does not allow for people to actually become a better version of themselves like we're supposed to do. And so a lot of these kids struggle in large part because as a society, we fucked them up.
Well, yeah, and I think that's where social media has destroyed it.
Yep.
I mean, you're seeing countries now that are like banning social media because they're realizing their kids are becoming stupid.
Yep.
I mean, the great example of
like
stupidity.
Facebook is being sued right now for knowingly addicting kids to Facebook.
Oh yeah, they all do it. I mean, they all fucking do it. And the thing is when you ask, I know China, they asked, I think it was like 100,000 kids, what do they want to be when they grow up at age, I think it was like 15, something like that. And they said about 90% of them were actual professional careers.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, engineer, scientist, whatever. In America, when they asked the same amount of kids, 90% said social media influencer.
Wow.
Not what, like, it was rare that you got somebody that's like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor.
Wow.
It's like public safety was completely off the list. There were no firefighters, no cops, no FBI, Secret Service. I don't know. There's nothing like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's very few doctor, nurses, engineers, but it was
Our
all
society's so screwed.
It was all literally
social
media. No one wanted accountability. Nobody wanted to be like, they want it just be fed to them. And then of course the next question was, what should you make when you graduate or get out of high school?
Yeah.
The response just killed me, man, because it was like all of them expected to be making $200,000 to $300,000 out the gate. And I'm like, good luck with that. I mean, shit. And I'm a firm believer that if your degree should only cost a third of what you make when you graduate. So if your degree gets you a $60,000 a year job,
it should have only cost you 20 grand.
It should only cost 20 grand.
I agree. Yeah.
That way you can have that fucking thing paid off in 5 years.
Yeah.
And you can start living your life with your money that you've earned. Because by the time 5 years come by, you should be making about 75 if you're getting pay raises like you should.
Right.
If you join the job, you do your fucking job, you earn your way up. You don't just expect to be respected. You don't expect to just make it up the chain. And that's the thing that you got to try to teach our kids. I think the one thing I took from nursing school in the psychosocial class was, like you said, when major events, there are keys of depression because there's sense of loss, there's sense of anxiety for a job change, divorce, marriage. Everything changes. Your whole world is like Marvel, goes on a new path. And by doing that, you try to teach your kids how to face those anxieties, that depression, that sense of loss, so they grow.
Fear of missing out.
So they grow instead of tank, because those events are pivot moments in your life, trigger moments that either make or break you. So you can either become the victim or the successor. Yeah. And as a parent, it's your job to teach these kids, which is 10 times harder because of all this social media influence,
pressure,
all the people brainwashing and gaslighting them on the media and the news and shit. I mean, half of the shit on our news is fucking wrong. And it's just trying to teach them that one-on-one. And you're competing with the natural Erickson's, progression of where teenagers, their friends are their best friends. They're the only thing that matters.
That's their
in
world,
life. And you mean nothing to them. And that's where example is so important, because showing good examples of dealing with things, high stress situations, financial situations, showing them how to cope with those without freaking out, popping a pill, chugging a bottle of liquor, doing a line of coke, instead of facing the problem, diverting the problem.
Well, that kind of goes into this next section of how do we protect them without softening them? Yeah. What are some of the practical tools for resilience, right? So one of the things that stands out to me is, and you kind of said it right there, as soon as they become teenagers, 13, 14, 15, their friends are their world. They don't want to be around you all that much. That's when parents typically try and lock them down. The teaching at that point is almost too late.
Too late, yeah. You got to do that early.
It's got to start
toddler.
early. It's a progressive teaching kind of process so that by the time they become teenagers, they already have learned the processes. They know who you are. They know the structure, the discipline. You're still going to have challenges and stuff like that. It's not like, because I taught them when they were 9 and 10, now they're perfect teenagers. No, they're still going to struggle as teenagers because they're adapting. They're becoming who they are. And part of that is that realization of, I'm almost an adult and I want more freedom and I want more independence. But then they get the influence of their friends whose parents don't care or can't rein their kids in because they never did before. And then there was this kid that I had. He was like defiantly against his parents, wonderful parents. And like I know them and they're good parents, right?
Yeah.
He had this girlfriend that would just almost like a succubus. She would talk about how stressed she was and how anxious she was and depressed, and she's so grateful for him, and she wouldn't know what she would do without him. And then he'd like complain about his parents. Oh, that's so wrong of them to do. And so she was starting to influence him away from his parents, and his parents were like, what's going on here? And then they recognized that pattern and started saying, you don't need to be dating this girl. You don't need to be talking to this girl, which would then piss him off even more. And
go more towards her, yeah.
And so I finally just started just helping him recognize the patterns. And so this is one of the things that I think is important with teaching kids. And I did this with my kids too, where it's like, here are patterns of manipulation and influence. This is what gaslighting means. This is what it is. This is where it comes from. And this is how you can identify it. This is how you can tell if somebody's a narcissistic person, not necessarily a narcissist, because we all have a little bit of narcissism, but this is a narcissistic trait. This is how you know if somebody's not really your friend.
Yeah.
Focusing on who are you and how do you surround yourself with people that are going to help you be you while you help them be them, in a really good, supportive, positive way. Yeah. And my son one time, really kind of an eye-opening thing for me, he was really frustrated with me one time, really mad. He tried to join the military a couple times. He ended up getting approved to join the military. And then his now ex-fiance was like, well, I don't know if I'll be around if you do. And so he didn't. He made a choice, and I think it was great. I love him for making the choice that he did. He prioritized his family over this, childhood dream.
Funny thing is that kind of happened to me too.
Yeah,
I was going to join the Air Force.
And so he was upset one day, like when he didn't get accepted to join the military, and he's like, you told me that I could do anything I wanted to. That all I had to do was, try all this stuff. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. I was wrong. You can do just about anything you want to if you're willing to work hard enough, put in enough time, and make the sacrifices.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you that before, and that's my fault.
Yeah. Actually, kind of the same thing. It's like telling my kids. I think with my daughter, she wanted to be a vet, and kind of had she could totally do it. Like, she's smart enough, kind enough. She loves animals. She totally could have done it. I think with our divorce and her being bullied through social media and dealing with like you said with her friends, I'm like, we had that talk so many times where I had to go, as a parent, you're trying to let your kids figure this stuff out on their own with some advice.
Yeah.
Because when you tell them
to fall and advice to guide them.
Because when you tell them what to do, they're going to like, fuck you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And so it was always one of those things I would just say, okay, well, let's go back to what I've told you multiple times. Do they support you?
Yeah.
Are they lifting you up? Or do they criticize you? Do they put you down when you make a mistake? Or do they like, oh, it's cool, it's okay, let's figure it out?
Yeah.
A true friend's not going to belittle you, talk down to you, throw you under the bus. They're going to have your side no matter what, unless you like completely betray them kind of thing. And so she did go through these cycles, and the only great saving grace is that little voice that I kind of instilled in her was, are they lifting you up? Do they support you? And so she did go through multiple groups of kids trying to find her place. And it was very hard. And And I struggle with the fact that behind my back, her mom was trying to get her on drugs and, oh, you're depressed. Let's get you on this and that.
Clarify that.
on like antidepressants and things like that. And Kira, to her fault, my daughter, to her fault, she flat out, she tried it. She's like, I hate how it made me feel numb. I actually felt I wasn't suicidal before, but man, I kind of had some thoughts, and she's like, I didn't like it. So I took myself off of it. And she's like, you're right, Dad. I mean, I'm like, yeah, you just need coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Stressors, like go work out, go for a walk, do something for yourself, kind of things. And she's done great. And so when she talked about being a vet, I was just like, okay, I go, have you applied for jobs at any veterinarians? Well, no. Have you volunteered at shelters? Well, no. I'm like, okay, how are you going to know if you're going to like it? And so I don't know if I influenced her not to become a vet. I think sometimes I'm very straightforward because that's how kind of like the father figure that I had was just to the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think sometimes I maybe have influenced her like, oh, this will be hard because I've never done any of these things. And so instead of taking my advice and saying, well, go apply for one, see if you like it, she went, oh, I haven't done that, so I probably won't be a good vet. And that
self-doubt, right?
That could just be me projecting like, oh crap, did I do that to her as a parent? And
yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes, we influence.
It's like I know,
it's
but
not our fault.
And so, and what I love though, like I've always told my kids, I don't care what you do, just enjoy what you do and embrace it, and just be the best you can at that job.
Yeah. Well, and like one of the things that I think is also really important is to allow them to struggle. I think there are way too many parents. I jokingly, but half jokingly said this to a couple of the younger kids, like my kids' age, where it's like, some of the struggles that you guys go through, it's because our generation fucked you up. We didn't discipline you. We didn't use red, teachers were not allowed to use red pens to correct because red's aggressive. And there was safe spaces and everybody got a trophy.
A lot of red pen on my stuff.
I know, right? Right. Yeah. But our generation, we were faced with the challenges. There was winners and losers in sports. And then you had to shake hands and say good game, even if you lost, And so these kids grew up with everybody participated, everybody's a winner. And so they never got that challenge early on. And so allowing them to struggle and then being there for them when they struggle to then cheer them on as they move forward. Great example. I've got this client. His son's like 10, 11 years old. He's in wrestling and he had 3 matches. And like he lost the first 2 matches bad. And he was like crying and upset. And his dad was like, it's okay to cry. That's just fine. How does it feel to lose? It's like, I hate it. I don't like it. Yeah, it sucks. Now, take that hurt and put it in your next match.
Yeah.
And, let that be something that motivates you and pushes you hard. And he won his next match. And he felt awesome. And the dad was like, you did great. And that's, to me, that's great parenting.
Yeah.
You're acknowledging,
not
you're
over
comforting,
the top when he succeeded,
but you're not like, do you want to quit? It's okay if you want to. No, he didn't do that because the kid kind of wanted to.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
But
this is hard.
This hurts. Use that hurt, use that disappointment and that pain, and put it into the next match and try hard. Do your absolute best. And if you win, great. If you lose, okay, you lost. Then we work on it, right? Instead of, and this is one thing I wish I did not do with my son, because he tried out for football in high school. After 2 weeks, he quit, and I let him quit.
Well,
I wished I had told him in the beginning, if you try out for football, if you're going out for football, you're going through the whole season, and I didn't do that. And he's a great kid, love him to death. He is a great man. He's becoming incredible. And it's great to see, but that's a life lesson that I think would have been important for him that I didn't kind of push for, and that's on me. But.
Well, yeah, and I can take my son. I mean, honestly, that's a great example of sports and stuff because like he was one of those kids, man. If you pissed him off, he would just do even better. I mean, it was I loved seeing him pissed off. We had the basketball game, 10 years old, maybe 12, and around here, everything's set up to where you just literally grow with the same people. You're competing against the same 300 kids, and you just all grow together. And they switch teams and try to get the more dominating team. And parents just throw money at it like it's candy, and to get their kid to succeed because they couldn't. And
the kids' team sports industrial complex.
It's ridiculous. And so, like, let's just go through each sport. So soccer.
Okay.
Young, aggressive, can get the ball, really dribbled well. But he was so aggressive that other kids were giving up. And so the coach flat out said, Quinn, stop trying so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And as a dad, I'm like biting my tongue. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Don't like teach him to rein that aggression in.
Yeah.
To have more control.
Yes.
And then be more of a teammate instead of saying, oh, dude, don't keep doing that. Stop. Yeah. So then what I saw him do over that season was he'd be really aggressive, get the ball, and then he would just stop. Wait for another kid to come get it. Because that's what the coach told him to do.
Yeah.
And guess what the sport became for him? Very fucking boring.
Yeah.
Because like no one tries. We tried 2 different teams. He had fun. He enjoyed it, but he eventually just said, I really don't like it, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And we always made him do the whole season. He was never allowed to quit. And that's why I just said, no, you got to do the whole thing because we paid money for it. We're not wasting our money.
Right.
And it's a good lesson for you to go through something shitty. If you have a bad team, that's a good lesson to be on a bad team, man.
Yep.
It's motivating.
As teenagers, my kids were like, why does everything have to be a life lesson, Dad?
Because it is. Baseball. Loved it. Dominated it. Like he would go out, we'd practice, do so much stuff. I mean, we'd spend probably good 10 to 15 hours a week just practicing different drills. He would tell me what he would want to work on. He would struggle. Me being the dad, he'd get pissed off at me. It's like, stop telling me what to do. And I'm like, okay.
Well, baseball was your sport, right?
I'm like, okay. I go, let's get a trainer. Let's go to this thing so someone else can tell you what I've told you. Yeah. And then I would learn more things to help him get better at what he needed because the coach, like the trainer person, would be like, do this with them. And Quinn would hear, my son would hear him tell us what we should work on. And then with basketball, I really instilled in him early on that if you want to be better at something, ask your coach what you can work on. If you don't make the team, you can be sad, you can be bummed, but you go up to the coach and say, hey, coach, can you tell me what I can work on so I can make the team next year?
Right, yeah.
So with basketball, Quinn was just tall.
Michael Jordan didn't make his freshman team or sophomore team or something?
Yeah. Basketball, he was basically just really tall. So he could block people, at a young age, and they loved him, but he couldn't dribble for crap. He never wanted to practice dribbling. He just counted on him being tall.
Yeah.
Well, people catch up. He's like, oh, crap, I have to work more. So then he started working at things. And then he started doing a clinic and did really well. But the great thing is he noticed he wasn't getting looked at as much. So he actually went to the coach. Hey, man, what can I do to get better? How can I help the team?
Yeah.
And the coach literally kept him on the team because of that attitude. He's like, you probably wouldn't have made it, but you know what? You're our Rudy, and you're our team captain, and you drive this team, and you get everybody fired up. So yeah, let's get you on the team. And they dominated all the way till this last year. Blue Valley's stupid because the transfer automatically gets to play and all this stuff, and everybody's just transferring just to get more play time. And so the kids
that college teams now.
And the sad thing with the kids that actually are dedicated to the sport with that school, that whole system, they get screwed over. Yeah, and so basketball this year was not fun at all because he was with all these new kids. Nobody was a team. Yeah. Nobody would listen. They're all doing their own thing. And what's funny is he joined volleyball because his friends are in volleyball and just the excitement he had again with it. And he's like, I don't know shit about volleyball. But because his friends were doing it and he really enjoyed it, he took the time to learn it all. And it was interesting with basketball. I'm like, so what are you going to do next year? And he goes, I honestly went to the coach, kind of gave him my concerns about the team and why we did so bad this year. And the coach basically looked at me and goes, well, you probably won't make the team next year anyway.
Wow.
And so Quinn's like,
coach?
Yeah. And he goes, that's all right. I wasn't going to apply because I just feel like your direction sucks. and so I'm like, and so he's going to do rec league with his friends, and they'll have fun again and enjoy it. And I just embrace it. And as a dad, it's like when your kid has a lot of talent, they're doing great. You want to support that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, I should have made him go through the whole season because he tried out for football too. And I think 2 weeks he quit. He goes, dude, it sucks. I go, yeah, because you're not in football shape. You're in basketball and baseball shape, which is totally different. I go, you don't do burpees in basketball. You just do a lot of running back and forth and drills, and squats get low anyway. I'm just rambling.
But it's
supporting your kid in a way that you're pushing them without pushing them to where they hate it.
Yeah.
But you're also encouraging them to where if they do give up on something, that they're not going to have lifelong regret.
But see, that starts at an early age, building those relationships early, those strong, loving, supportive, and accountable relationships when they're, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that by the time they're 13, 14, 15, 16, that norm is already established.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I thought was hilarious, and I'm so grateful for my middle daughter doing this. I would tell them, like one of the things I did is I gave them a day off every semester. It's like, if you just don't want to go to school, as long as there's no tests or homework due or something like that, and you're just like, can I just have a day off? I'll call you out. Sure. No problem. Do whatever you want. Relax, because I still had like school and work and stuff. But by doing that, they would actually open up to me a little bit more. And so like one of the things that my middle daughter did, I told him, I said, if there's something that you want to do, just ask me. It's probably going to be just fine. If I just don't feel right about it, I'll tell you, and I might say no. And so there was one time she like talked to me and she's like, hey, my friends want to sneak out tomorrow. Is that okay? And I'm like, what do you mean sneak out? She was like, yeah, they want to sneak out and go to like a Waffle House or something like that at like midnight. And it was like a Thursday night or something like that. I'm like, yeah, sure. So where their friends are actually sneaking out, she got permission to go.
And that's funny because my mom actually took that philosophy with me. Mm-hmm. Like, she's like, I tried, I reined everything, and I was super strict. I was like this, that. I mean, she gave me a pager, and she's like, there's the pager. And she's like, call me within so many minutes, or you'll be grounded for a week. And I'm like, okay. But she never had to worry about me because I always told the truth. I remember the one time I was late. Like
you said too much so.
Yeah. I was 30 minutes late, and she's like, where have you been? You're late. And I go, I was making out with so-and-so. She's like, okay, yeah, really? You're not going to tell me that? I'm like, no, really. I was making out with her. We lost track of time. And she's like, I don't want to know that. She's like, you know what? We'll talk in the morning.
Yeah.
She was just so flustered that I was honest. And the great thing in the morning, I just said, hey, Mom, look. I know I was late, and I'll take whatever punishment I get because I was late because I know the rules. Mm-hmm. I go, but, throw that little button there. Their curfew's midnight. Mine's midnight. Can mine be 12:30? That way I can get them on time to there, and then I can be on time to mine instead of us having to cut the date at 8:30 for me to get home. I go, and if we're seeing a movie that started at 9, and people got to remember, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any way to just communicate. So unless you were calling from someone's house or a payphone, you couldn't update your parents.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things that she just looked at me and she goes, okay, thank you for approaching it respectfully.
Right? Yeah.
And it was, and after that, I'm just going to tell my mom everything. And so I do that. I'm like, hey man, everybody's going out, it starts at 1. It's like a rave. She's like, what is it? What's a rave? I don't know what a rave is. Right. I explain it to her. She's like, I go, if I can get Scott to go, my brother. She's like, okay, fine. Scott would go look at it. He goes, okay, it's fine. And he'd leave. Gotcha. Kind of thing. He's like, I'm not staying here, but you can have fun, kind of thing. But she loosened up enough to where she wishes she was like that with all of her kids at the time. But she went through,
you learn.
She went through a divorce, had to deal with the whole split family thing.
There's a lot of stress, a lot of, and that's part of the scar part of it, where it's like, when I got custody of my kids, because of all the shit that went down, I kind of locked down at first. I did a lot of things to, had them make the rules, and I've talked about that before on the podcast. They helped to make the rules anyway, so they had an investment in it. But I was also I was a lot more strict in the beginning than I was later on.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to create stability and structure where they had so much disruption in their life. I felt like they needed that to stabilize.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, it was like, okay, now I can soften. Now I can open up and allow more. And I'd give my kids, I'd tell them, use me as an excuse. If there's something you're not comfortable with that your friends are trying to pressure you into, you can say, my dad will kill me if I do that, or like middle daughter, texted me one time, hey, it was like 11 o'clock at night. She'd been hanging out with friends and she texted, hey, my friends want to go and do this. Is that okay? And then I get another text and she goes, please say no.
Yeah.
And then she deleted the text so that the friends didn't see it. And I went, no.
Well,
she got home and she's like, thanks.
Was that you that was talking about how you had a client that basically they have a code word where they can call and say like, hey, and it's kind of funny because I kind of had that too, where like there were probably 4 or 5 times where I just walked home. I think there's one I was like 15 miles away and I left at 9 p.m.
Wow.
And I called my mom like, hey, some shady shit's happening here and I'm going to walk home.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay, because I can't come get you. And I'm like, it's fine. I'll just walk home.
Yeah.
And I think
that's quite a walk.
I think I was like at Johnson Drive in K10 and I was walking to 119th in Antioch, which
holy crap.
is really far away. And so I didn't get home.
It took you like 6 hours.
Yeah, I didn't get home till like 3 a.m.
Wow.
And she was up and she was worried and she's like, oh my God. And looking back, I probably like could have called her at payphones on the way kind of stuff. But
do the whole like collect call. We got a baby. It's a boy.
I'm almost there. Thanks. But it was one of those things where I actually had another friend that his dad did that too. He goes, I know how hard it is. I know peer pressure. Mm-hmm. He goes, here's some tips. And he goes, if you don't want to drink, take dye with you and do 2 drops of dye of blue, red, and just like, oh yeah, it's my mixed drink. Mm-hmm. And so you're just drinking it. And so it looks like you're drinking alcohol, but you're not. And so like, I kind of took that where I'd take a beer, pour it out, and I'd pour water in it and I'd just be drinking water out of the beer.
Yeah.
Beer can, because it's like I didn't want to fucking deal with the drama of like, why aren't you drinking? What the fuck's wrong with you? Kind of crap. I think kids are a little better at that. At least my daughter says they've been pretty
this generation
respectful.
Coming up doesn't drink as much.
Well, it's because they all do pot,
Right.
But my daughter has said, she's like, the designated driver with this generation is so good. Mm-hmm. It's like I am so proud of this generation because they do designated drivers and they're teaching it in college where they have assignments. And so her sorority actually has assigned days where you're the DD. And if you do drink, you get like punished. And so it's like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's like, damn. And I guess the frats are doing that too and all that stuff. So it's kind of teaching them more responsibility.
But I think
and they have the 1-to-1 rule where it's like, they're literally doing 1-to-1 where it's like 1 drink, 1 water, 1 drink, 1 water.
That's great.
And they get so bloated that
I told my girls, whether it's whatever they're drinking, cover it.
Oh yeah.
And if you left it and you didn't see it for a little bit, go get a new one.
Yeah, my daughter's the same way.
But it really, that kind of relationship.
They got to teach boys that too.
Yeah, same.
Because it's happening. Because boys are doing it to their boys too. It's disgusting.
Dude, no, there was a I think I can't remember if this was Fort Lewis or Fort Gordon. I think it was Fort Gordon because it was a training base. There were a couple of trainees that they were in AIT and they'd gone out to a bar, and one guy woke up the next morning with his pants around his ankles behind the bar. He had been roofied. His friends thought he just left with somebody else, and so they just left and went back to the base.
Yeah.
And they got in so much trouble because they left their battle buddy, right?
Yeah.
And because part of the training is you never leave your battle buddy. They left their battle buddy, and he got raped.
Yeah, that actually happened too. What's sad is hospitals have the rape nurse basically to help them go through that horrible time and try to help them feel safe enough to express it and all the kids and things. And one of my good friends, she was that. And she was, she's never been raped, never had anything bad happen to her.
Yeah.
And she was in that job for about a year.
And that's all she lasted?
No. She was in that job for a year and went to Chicago for a bachelorette party. And she's like, I really got to go pee. And so she went to pee and her friend's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll join you. But then her friend didn't join her. And so she went in the alley and like it was locked, and she's like, oh my God, I got to pee so bad. So she was stupid. And she says, I was stupid. I opened the door to the alley like a dipshit, put a brick in the door, went to pee behind the garbage, and next thing I know, I'm being thrown down and I got raped by a homeless guy. And she's like, it makes me a better nurse because now I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, but it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
She's like, I made that stupid fucking mistake. But her friends, I guess they left because the same thing. They thought she left. They're like, oh, I thought she went to pee. They went to the bathroom, didn't find her. So they just left thinking she went home or something. And she doesn't blame them. She's like, I was an idiot. I was a dumbass that went in the alley in a city that I didn't know. And she's like, I didn't deserve it. Like, no, just because I made that mistake doesn't mean I deserve that shit.
Nope.
But she's like, it changed me, but it made me a better nurse because of it. She goes, would I rather have not experienced that? Yes. It's just one of those things, trying to keep those kids safe. And really, I think when we break down the steps, because we kind of got long-winded on this section, but I think the big one is building the strong, stable relationship first.
Yep. And that starts young.
Like you said, allowing him to struggle, get that mindset of independence, but also not being that helicopter parent. Mm-hmm. Setting firm boundaries,
especially on like social media and
screen time, social media. Yeah. I have a lot of these, actually, this generation that are starting to have kids.
Yeah.
That are like, they're not having a phone until they're 20.
Yeah, right?
They're like, they're not doing
this. It's amazing how the pendulum swinging back to
like,
where, yeah.
I go, oh, really, why? And they're like, oh, it really fucked me up, and I felt abused, and I felt neglected, and I was really gaslit a lot, and not many people are able to recognize that shit.
Yeah.
At that young age, and I was like, yeah, with mine, I mean, they could watch Curious George and Young Einsteins. That's it. If any cartoon, if any fucking cartoon had the kids arguing with their parents, like Rugrats,
shut it down. Yeah,
I'm like, they weren't allowed to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm like, we're not. You're not watching a show where they argue with their parents. Their parents are dumb. Yeah, any TV show that demasculizes the man or makes the man look like an idiot. Weren't allowed to watch because I'm like, that's not reality. That's society trying to destroy the family unit.
Yep.
Teaching them red flags early on.
Yeah, especially like the narcissism, the gaslighting, what is emotional abuse, verbal abuse in relationships, that kind of stuff. There's even like financial abuse and reactive abuse.
Mm-hmm. I think that's all the time. And I think that's good because I think my daughter's gone through a couple scenarios and she recognized that stuff pretty early on, which is good. Yeah. Kind of thing. Expectations, like you said, with your son, you told me I could reach the stars, and it's like, well, I mean, you're going to have
challenges.
I go, how do you know you couldn't? This was your first challenge where you didn't get in.
Right.
What if you're meant to be this instead?
One of my daughters, when she got her first F, because she always got A's, she got her first F on a test, she was like devastated. Yeah. And I was like, that's awesome. Now you know what it feels like. It's all good.
Shake it off.
Yeah, but it's like her grade was still incredible.
Yeah.
But she felt it like she was a failure. And so I tried to model that, hey, you know what? It's just fine. Don't worry. It's just one.
And I love with my kids because I've never been like, I expect straight A's. I'm like, I expect you to do your best.
Yeah.
And if you get a C and you tell me you did your best, you studied your ass off and you did all the assignments appropriately and you still got a C, that's just content you may have just could not grasp.
Right. And that happens. But I think modeling that, where they see us going through stuff too and showing them through our examples how to be resilient.
Oh yeah. I mean,
even like apologizing. I apologize to my kids all the time when I screwed things up because I wanted them to see that it was okay to do that. I'm not perfect. Yeah. I hate it when there are parents out there that like, I'm the mom or I'm the dad, so I'm never wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right there it means you're
right. But modeling that. But it all, again, it starts early. You have to be doing those things early. You can do it later, but it's different. It looks different. Yeah. And it really becomes more of a peer-to-peer, not peer-to-peer because they're still our kids, but like it's sitting down and saying, okay, what's going on here? I don't like where our relationship is. Let's figure out something different. I value you enough to change what I'm doing because this isn't working, and I'm asking you to join me in that process. We can do that later. It's just harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, setting those boundaries, expectations, the same lines.
Yeah.
I definitely saw a shift when we got divorced where I was still kind of maintaining those. And I personally feel, I don't know because I wasn't in the house, but I feel like my ex went more friend mode.
Yeah.
And pamper mode. Because, they're teenagers. They don't want to spend time with her either. and so it was like, okay, I'll just buy their love kind of thing, is my opinion. But we turned out great kids. You got 5 great kids that are doing amazing things.
They're all
great
facing
kids.
their own struggles, but they're doing great. I love watching them grow. But one of the things that I haven't done well is I haven't shown them healthy relationships romantically.
Yeah,
Twice divorced. But and so you mentioned this in the beginning where it's like dating ourselves and figuring ourselves out, and that's where like this podcast is helping me to be reflective and try and understand my own struggles more. Just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean life is perfect, right? But it's as I'm learning and growing, I'm being a different dad, and they get to see that, and that I think hopefully gives them an example that we continue to grow and try and improve and get better. One of the things that I've always said to them ever since they were younger was, I want you to be more successful. I want you to be happier. I want you to make more money. I want you to have better relationships than I have.
yeah.
And I still say that.
Yeah, I say all that except for the money part. I usually say, I want you to make what you make and have a life that's within your means, that you can be happy and not feel like the money is controlling your life.
Yeah.
Like mine. Like my life.
And
Because
mine.
starting over 3
Holy
crap. Man, it's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the mental issue that I deal with now is, I'm almost, almost 50, and I have a house, but it's like, it's not what I want. It's like that. It's not, I don't have the yard I want. It's not the design I want. It's not, it's just, I'm fixing Band-Aids, and I don't have the retirement that I want. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not because I wasn't good at doing what I did. It's just because I had to start over 3 times, and I surrounded myself with horrible fucking people that took advantage of me left and right. And I don't want that for my kids.
Right. For how much money I spent on divorces.
Oh God. Especially you, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, like the first one, the divorce, and then going back to court a few years later, almost $130,000.
That's a nice car.
That's almost a
that was a house.
That was a house
in the 90s.
If I were smart financially.
Actually, 2001 we bought our house for the.
I would not be in any debt at all. At all.
Yeah, I wasn't
with that money.
Until Biden, but anyway.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Like, follow, and subscribe if you like the content and what we talk about. We're just trying to, share what our experiences are, but we'd love to hear your comments and some of the successes and some of the failures, and what you've learned and how you've helped raise your kids, or even like what you wished you would have done better.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Speak up. Speak up.
Oh yeah.
Stay classy, Kansas City.
Yeah.